when we look at morphology, looking at the study of the forms of things. So the shape of something. When we talk about state morphology, we're looking quite literally at the shapes that states are going to take. If you look at a political map of the United States, you'll see the shapes of the individual states of the Union. Look at a political map of Europe, you'll see the shapes of states. A lot of those are going to be compact. We're going to talk about it. So state morphology is the shapes of states, simply put. And honestly, this is something that a lot of you probably covered earlier in the unit. If you have been in political geography for a little while, you've probably already looked at this. It's always good to come back and look at it again. It is in the course to articulation, so you are going to see this on the AP exam. Why do states look like they do, and what does that have to do with anything? All right. Well, it's going to break down, or it's I guess part of the reason why they look like they do. It has to do with the spatial perspective, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But here are some of the factors that play into that. Okay, you've got centripetal and centrifugal forces. That's going to be a part of it. Maybe your state shape is going to have to do with, or it could be a symbol of unity or identity. Like, for example, if you look at a picture of the United States on a shirt, that's something that we all can kind of rally behind, right? Determines, or the shape of states determines how countries interact with one another and how they communicate with the borders. In particular, certain shapes more so than others. Here's that picture of the U.S. I was just telling you. We put this on a shirt. It's a symbol of national pride. Every geography class in the world has one of these on the back of the wall, right? You can also see that Indonesia here. Well, what's wrong with that? You've got one island right here, one island right here. The island of Java, and then these little tiny islands, and all these other. That right there is an example of a centrifugal force. All right, so let me go back right here. I want to go over these two terms. When we talk about a centripetal force, you're looking at things that pull something together. So those of you who are science scholars, centripetal force is going to be a force that prevents something from going out. All right, if I take my lanyard and I twist it around, the centripetal forces are keeping the end of the lanyard from flying away. So in that same way, a centripetal force when it comes to nationalism is something that goes group of people. A centrifugal force is going to do the opposite of that. It's going to be something that fragments a group of people based on their individual differences. So if you look at Indonesia, and you can see that the shape of this state, which is all over the place, it's fragmented. That's going to be a centrifugal force, something that's going to separate people geographically in that area, even culturally. So the 5 basic shapes there's in every that's in every geography book, the Rubenstein book, all of them you're going to look at. Any other review manuals are these 5 basic states right here: the compact, prorupted, fragmented, elongated, perforated. All right, so let's break it down. Hi, everyone from Harlan. Shout out to Harlan. Woo! State morphology. These right here are, I think I missed one in there. Nope. Where are my slides? Well, there's supposed to be, maybe somewhere in there, there's going to be a slide on compact states, because I definitely made one. I'm not sure what happened to it. But what we're looking at here are different examples of a compact state. Now, when something is compacted, if you take aluminum foil and you wad it up into a big ball, it becomes compacted, right? It's basically round like a ball, all right? So in the same way, compact states are usually going to be mostly round. Now, look, Rwanda is not round like a ball, but it's mostly round with the capital in the center. Zimbabwe, mostly round with the capital in the center. Poland, same thing. Here's what Poland looks like on a map of Europe. And France, mostly compact, with Paris more or less in the middle of the pack. Now, so when you look at compact states, there are several advantages that come with that, both political advantages, cultural, you name it. If a group of people are easily accessible by the government, they can have access to things like resources. Things like the economy can be more accessible to everyone. They might have more representation in government because the government is in the center of everyone and kind of represents the state as a whole. These are all things that characterize the compact states, all right? So really, if there is one probably best all-around picture state, usually you think about compact, and everything's kind of where it needs to be. Usually compact states are relatively small, and these are all relatively smallish countries. Maybe France and Poland live on the large, I guess on the medium side if you look at the world as a whole. A prorupted state is going to have all those same advantages that we just talked about, with the accessibility to resources, the representation from the government, the fact that people are close by in case of emergency. All these different things are going to pertain to the prorupted state, except the prorupted state also has a proruption, or a piece of land sticking out of it. All right, so what's the purpose of that piece of land? It definitely serves a purpose. All right, and you can have economic purposes as well as political purposes to the shape of a prorupted state. All right, so one of the economic examples is the Democratic Republic of Congo. A political example would be Afghanistan. Afghanistan is probably the best of those two examples, India as well. And here's what I mean, okay? If you look at, these are examples of prorupted states. This is Afghanistan, look at that right there. That little offshoot there, that's a proruption. All right. India is actually kind of, surrounds Bangladesh. We forget sometimes this part over here on the east is part of India. Democratic Republic of Congo. Notice this little proruption right here that gives it a little bit access to the coast. Now, it's easy to see why that's there. When the Dutch were in here conquering, Belgium was in here conquering this area during the age of imperialism. They wanted access to the ocean. Okay, so that's the purpose of that. It's economic. And then you've got Thailand, which kind of juts down this way, a proruption. Okay, so let's look right here, particularly at this one. We're going to revisit this later on as well. But if you look at a map of Cold War geopolitics, you would notice that this here is one of the Shatterbelt regions during that time period. Shatterbelt is simply an area that is kind of like the in-between zone between two conflicting powers. We're going to look at several examples of Shatterbelt. If you didn't write down Shatterbelt, I would take the time to do that, because you're definitely going to see it on the test. And what you had is the Soviets to the north, and the West was trying to defend this area down, in India, or around India and Pakistan. And so this actually became a buffer zone. That's another one you need to know what it is. A buffer zone, a small little region between conflicting areas that separated the two groups. All right, so there's what that is. If you look at I don't know if you guys are familiar with Geography Now, the YouTube channel, but if you watch the Afghanistan Geography Now, he talks a little bit about that. Those are really good videos, by the way. Number 3, the elongated state. Okay, so now we're finally starting to look at something a little bit different from that basic compact round state morphology. The elongated states, these are here can have some certain problems associated with them. One, they in the case of Chile, which is the textbook example, okay, you've got possibly the span of many climate zones. All right, so Chile, you literally will have some areas that are always warm, some areas that are always cold. You've got a lot of climate areas that are kind of within that latitude span. You also have varying terrain. If you're going to be long and skinny, more or less, you're going to cover lots of different types of terrain, maybe some desert here, maybe some mountains there. So if you look at Chile, this along the Andes Mountains, some of the highest mountains in the definitely in the Western Hemisphere. The capital city is going to be somewhere in the state. It might be in the north, it might be in the south, it might be in the dead center, but there's going to be people along that elongated state that don't have a whole lot of access to the capital and might be cut off from the government administration. It might be difficult to get resources from one place to another in the event there's an emergency, or during just regular day-to-day. Maybe economically this might be a problem for that country or for an elongated state. We just said difficulty during emergencies. They may also lack certain natural resources. Now, if you look at the United States, a great big country with tons of resources and everything, it covers a large varying degree of different types of land. Well, Chile, like I said, is mostly along the mountains. That might limit it in its capacity to have certain resources that other countries may have as a surplus. So those are all some things that could apply to most elongated states, perhaps. And here are some examples of the elongated states. Here is obviously the best example, the one that is probably everyone's go-to, Chile. You might could even consider Argentina to be elongated. I mean, I do. I think that's elongated. It's not like super skinny like Chile, but it's pretty long. You've got the Scandinavian countries. Okay, so Norway, Sweden, and Finland are in what we call Scandinavia. The Scandinavian Peninsula is going to be this region right here. All three of those are going to be elongated, and then you've got small states like Malawi that is also elongated. And there are others as well. You could spend some time Googling them and find maybe a few more. Fragmented states, the fourth of the 5 different types of states we're looking at. So far, we've looked at compact, and we talked about how everything's kind of centered around the capital. We looked at prorupted, which is kind of like compact, except with this little proruption jig off. We looked at elongated. Now we're on number 4, fragmented. All right, so a fragmented state is like our friend Indonesia that we just now saw. It's going to be fragmented because it's going to be consisting of a bunch of islands. Now, wait a second. Does it have to be an archipelago in order to be fragmented? The answer to that question is no, because Russia is not an archipelago. The United States is not an archipelago. Philippines are an archipelago. What is an archipelago, guys? Y'all are familiar with that term, right? So we're looking at a group of islands. So Indonesia and Philippines are a group of islands. Denmark has a bunch of islands in there. It would also, it wouldn't be an archipelago, but it would definitely be fragmented. So the problems that you may see when you are living in a fragmented state is that it's difficult to manage sometimes. You got either travel by plane or boat just to get from one place to another if you want to represent more than just an island or two. So this could lead to political fragmentation, which also could have maybe different cultures represented in certain areas and be concentrated that might be somewhat of a centrifugal force. Cultural hardships due to isolation. Some places may be better off than others. Difficult to get information and resources, kind of like with the elongated state, maybe even harder with a fragmented. Difficult to travel within the country, obviously, right? And then here are some examples. Now let's look at these. So I've got Denmark here. Denmark is in northern Europe. So if you look back at our map of Europe from earlier, Denmark is right here where the cursor is. Relatively small. All right, so going back, Denmark is a fragmented state. Russia, this right here is Kaliningrad, excuse me. It is not connected to the rest of Russia. Russia is a fragmented state, you could argue. The United States, you've got Hawaii and Alaska that are not connected to the 48 contiguous states. So the United States would be an example of a fragmented state. Canada would be an example of a fragmented state, and many others. Now, this one right here, for my students, this was always the most complicated. I guess everything else kind of speaks for itself. Pretty easy to understand, but perforated states, this one here threw my students off a lot. Let's see if y'all understand. When you look at a perforated state, it's one that totally surrounds another state. So in this picture, what is the perforated state? It's not actually labeled. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm sorry. Duh. Here I am getting confused myself. This one here is Lesotho. Is it perforated or is it compact? You see what I mean? So Lesotho is completely surrounded by South Africa. South Africa is the perforated state. A perforation, y'all, is a hole in something. My daughter had a perforated eardrum from getting tubes. She had to have surgery to get the perforation or the hole repaired. And so if you look at South Africa without Lesotho, there's literally a big political hole right here in it. That's the perforation. All right. So South Africa is a perforated state. Y'all, Lesotho is compact. Obviously, it's perfectly round. Okay. Now, the reason why this is like this is it goes back to apartheid. I don't know if y'all have studied apartheid at this point of the course, but and we talked about it a little bit several weeks ago. But apartheid is kind of like U.S. segregation. This here is mostly a concentration of blacks in a area that was a minority white, but whites dominated. And so even today, Lesotho is predominantly black, but it's a country that kind of exists within South Africa with its legacy of an apartheid. Okay, so perforated states totally surround another state. We already established that. Surrounded states have conflicts with states surrounding them. Okay, so if you look at this, the state that's going to have the hardest trouble with this arrangement is going to be Lesotho, because they are at the mercy of South Africa to even get to the coast. Well, if South Africa has a problem with Lesotho and wants to cause problems for them or prevent people from being able to pass on to the coast, and they can't get goods in, they can't get goods out, that would suck. So surrounding states have a lot of power. I'm sorry, states surrounding the state, like Lesotho, has a lot of power over them. The economy depends on relations with the surrounding countries, all right? And also, countries like that are landlocked. Well, that's another important thing we got to talk about, having to do with, it's not really, landlocked isn't a shape, but landlocked is a status that's really important, because if a country doesn't have access to the ocean, they are at a huge economic disadvantage against countries that do. I can't believe it. I forgot to put up a map of Africa. It shows this massive stretch of countries right in the center of Africa that are completely landlocked. There are landlocked countries in other places as well, like Afghanistan is a landlocked country. By the way, Afghanistan is also the poorest country in all of Asia. South Africa and Italy are the only probably two perforated states on Earth. If there's another one, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I think that these are the only ones. These are the only ones I know of. South Africa has Lesotho in it. Italy has Vatican City and San Marino completely within its boundary. And Vatican City, there's where the Pope lives. The Pope is like the head of that state. It is a state that is kind of the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church. It's very big. It's the smallest sovereign state on Earth. And San Marino is basically a city-state, or one of those micro-states we talked about a couple of weeks ago.